Welcome. I am here today with Jochen Schlese, founder of Saddlefit for Life, and we also have a guest for you today, Kelsey Rast, manager at Volunteer Equine Advocates, a nonprofit organization that has worked tirelessly to support equines in need in Tennessee since 2003. We're very excited to speak with Kelsey today and get to know her a little bit and talk about her work. But before we dive in, I wanted to remind you that you can help support Volunteer Equine Advocates right now through our Learn, Give, and Share campaign. Until July 16th, the Certified Equine Ergonomist course will be offered at $600 off. On top of that, we're going to donate $300 to Volunteer Equine Advocates for every course purchased, and you will receive a scholarship to our Saddle Fitting Essentials course that you can share with a friend. So there's truly no better time than right now to enroll in the Certified Equine Ergonomist course if you've been thinking about it, and to help us raise funds to support the rescue, rehabilitation, and rehoming efforts by Kelsey and her team. All right, but now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jochen Schlese and Kelsey Rast. Welcome.
So I'm Kelsey. I'm from Volunteer Equine Advocates, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit located right outside of Nashville, Tennessee in Gallatin. And we have been rescuing horses from law enforcement seizures for the last 20 years. Our mission is to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome horses and equine. So what our main initiative is to take horses from law enforcement seizures, so horses that have been severely neglected, abused, abandoned, things like that, that then law enforcement gets calls on and sees, and then they don't have a space for. They call us, and we come in and go in with law enforcement and then house those equine, help with the court case process, and then we eventually get them adopted out after the court case.
That is unbelievable that you guys do it, and I'm so happy that people like yourself and your company is around. And you and I had a previous conversation, and it was so heartwarming to see how much passion you guys do. But tell me also what you do when you sort of speak and bring them back to life and have them look normal again. Do you actually start riding them too, or training them and get the trust back to the humans? Tell me a little bit about that, how you go about that.
Absolutely. So it obviously depends on the horse. So we have horses come in, there'll be a 1 on the body condition scale. You see all their ribs, all their hips. You see their top line is just poking way, way up, to the point that, I mean, they should have died a long time ago. Like, it's severe. They've got rain rot all over them. I mean, it's horrifying. Some of the things that even I've seen in just my short 3 years at VEA. But we take those cases and we take those horses in and we start a refeeding program, and we can't just give them food. That's not how a refeeding program works. You have to start with tiny amounts of food. You have to get them reworked into eating again. So you start with just hay, and then eventually you'll start putting them on grain. But the grain you give them is like a handful at a time, like a tiny handful. And that's like maybe a handful a couple times a day. And then eventually you work up higher and higher until they're gaining a bunch of weight. So we've had a bunch of horses come in over the last couple of months that have had to do refeeding programs. We had one come in last August, one come in last December. Both were about 250 pounds underweight, but both were seniors and bad teeth. So they are both on MASH, and vet said neither of them can have hay. So they both get MASH multiple times a day, like 8 times a day, so that so that they constantly have feed throughout the day and can graze and do those things. But A, they're not choking, and B, that they still get that stimulation of eating and have enough feed.
Mm-hmm. And once they're like back to non-bone sticking out, like
Yeah.
normal weight, um, do you sometimes ride them as well then and put a saddle on and train them?
Yes.
Tell me
Yes.
how you do that.
So, from one of our more current cases, we had some come in that were not a great body condition, but not horrible. So they've gained weight a bit quicker. They weren't 250 pounds underweight. They were maybe 100 to 75 pounds underweight. So with actual pasture plus grain, they've been able to gain weight quicker. So we had our previous trainer. So I'm our equine manager now. I do all of our training and all of our vet. I'm at all of our vet appointments, farrier appointments, dental appointments, things like that. I'm on call 24/7 for emergencies. So that's me. But our last trainer that we had for 9 years, her name's Alicia. She's incredible. We love her. She has a lot more riding experience than I do. So she just came in and did a riding assessment on two of the horses that we had gotten in that had gained enough weight that we thought, hey, I think, are rideable. I think that they have clearly been handled before. They've clearly been ridden before, things like that. So I can mess around and see, like, hey, you know what a saddle pad is, you know what this is, like, how do you feel about this? But Alicia's more well equipped to do those like full assessments on them. So she came in and did that on two of ours last week, and then we'll continue the training process from there. And intermittently she'll give me like, hey, work on X, Y, and Z with them in between.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as I said in the beginning, it's very admirable what you do. We at Saddlefit for Life, many people ask us, why don't you call yourself Saddle Fitting School? Because most horses go through tremendous stress and tremendous experience. You know, if it's a wild horse what got captured pretty harsh, or is it young thoroughbred what got to the racetrack and started to be trained at 1.5, 2 years old,
Far
or if
too
it's the
young.
Western futurities, you know, when you put those heavy guys or people on it with these heavy saddles on those little babies. And of course, when they are neglected, like what you experience a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then people says, okay, I want to put a saddle on. So um, we see a lot of people know a lot about saddles and saddle fitting, but when it comes to biomechanics, physiology, um, anatomy of the horse and the rider, and how
Mm-hmm.
important it is that when the horse develops, especially your horse, when you bring him back from being starved to this
Yeah.
feeding program, okay, he's not being that bad, but he's still underweight and he comes back. And now you train him, you're riding him so you can make it a, on quotation, sellable horse. He has trust again to the humans. He has seen hope in his life. And then a horse what is ridden and trained is obviously much easier to find a new home for it. And
Right.
we at Saddlefit for Life, we have currently around 792 students, and the majority of the people are body workers or veterinarians or equine
Mm-hmm.
professionals who says, you know, I'm working on these horses, and then they put this equipment back on, what completely destroys everything I've done as a massage therapist, equine therapist, such as chiropractor, osteopath, right? And then they say, oh, you know what, that doesn't last. You know, so same with your agency. You know, you get these horses to have hope on life again and trust people again, only to put a shitty saddle on it. And
Yeah.
this is why we thought, you know, from all horses who go through horrible times, you dealing with the worst of them. And this is why we reach out to you and we want to do something. You know, we want to do something special for your organization. And I said that last time we talked, you know, and we want to reach out to you and we want to help you no matter what we can.
I
And
really appreciate it.
we also want to be part of it and want to make sure that your head trainer or you understand how do I select the right pad for this horse? We have over 10 courses and 10, plenty of bonus courses. People call us all the time and says, "Oh my God, which course do I take?" Our courses run from $50 to $20,000, and of course it's overwhelming. But my dream and my goal is that every single person who rides, okay, knows where these sensitive areas are on the horse's back.
Right.
To put that in respective relationship, I have, or all humans have, a funny bone. Okay, it's right here, and when you hit it, it goes all the way to the pinky. What if I would tell you we could help you and your staff and everybody who's listening for less than $50 to identify where those negative reflex points are? There's 14 on each side. So here I have a horse. Why is he sticking the tongue out? Why is he counter canter? Why is he doing all these behavior stuff? I just put all this money into rehab this horse, to feed him, to get him to chiropractic, osteopath, veterinarian, you name it. Well, if I'm on a top-notch nutrition and have a great trainer, and every time somebody touches my funny bone, I do this weird movement, right? And then I don't go blame my top trainer, my nutritionist, and says, well, the potatoes I ate yesterday was really bad because I'm making these movements, right? It has nothing to do with the potatoes. It has something to do with you hitting my funny bone.
Right.
And I think it's absolutely crucial that these horses who are blessed and have given a second chance for life, that, no pun intended, with Saddlefit for Life Academy.
Yeah.
Also, with their help, we'll have their staff knowledge, to see, okay, what pad do I use? What saddle do I use to not hit one of those negative reflex points? I call them landmines. Every soldier knows to not step on a landmine.
Right.
And every person who's not a soldier and can imagine what a landmine does also doesn't want to step on a landmine. So for me, the explosion, if you hit those reflex points on the horse's back, is just as bad as somebody gets blown up. Of course, you could say, no, it's not. Well, the soldier, I have a choice to go there and step on it. The horse doesn't. The horse is tied to a post, to a cross tie. The guy or the girl puts the saddle on, and then says, please, please don't hit my landmines, my trigger points.
Right.
They have no choice. And if they scream in loud pain, I mean, we have, thank God, we got now veterinarians who developed a pain scale.
Right.
Kelsey, can you believe it? There is a professor, University of Denmark, an older veterinarian. He told me until 1978, veterinarians were told horses don't have pain receptors.
That's so wild to me.
Isn't that crazy? So veterinarians who are out there and have the old education and haven't, I mean, they do, but let's say they haven't stayed up to par, they treat a horse different, and they don't look at the pain signs. I mean, now there's 2 or 3 universities who came up with a pain scale, where they actually can see. And I'd like to share that quick, the
grimace scale.
Slide, because it would be cool to see, here you got the, let me just put that on full screen so it's a little bit better to see.
Yeah, if one of my horses is ever acting out or acting differently than usual, that is the first thing I'm going to check. Is I'm looking for pain because something's wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, and that this pain scale, it's something. It's just one of many which I've thrown up here, but I also want to share with you. Let me see if I find the. I got a couple good slides here. It depends what we do with the horses. Sometimes people think bareback riding is so cool, but it isn't, because you can see how the rider sits in a chair seat and all the weight comes down to the seat bones and on one area. I mean, there's a reason why people invented saddles, to stop pressing into the muscle. Here's a cool picture to see when you when you look at this, the healthy muscle has the blood vessels and the oxygen, nutrition goes good through. But if you have a focal pressure point, right, the muscle stiffens and your muscle doesn't get the nutrition, oxygen you need. So if you look at the pain cycle, and you cannot train pain. You can inject the horse and numb pain, but then you just cause a whole lot other issues. So when people say, oh yeah, I train this, no, you do not. You maybe train the behavior, but the pain cycle is what it is. On humans or horses, same thing, right? First, the muscle is guarding because I don't want to hurt it, right? And that restricts the mobility. Then the muscle weakness and atrophy is also not just when you press into it, when you don't use it. You don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
And then it's just a nasty cycle where the horse then becomes mental stress, emotional and decreased function. Now, if I'm a competitor, right, then that it's a big downside if my horse doesn't work. And if you say, oh, I don't compete, I'm just have a pleasure horse, I just ride once a while, right? Horses have just as much emotional stress as us. Not every horse gets put to the test like that, or where people do gymnastic or fancy trick work on the horses. I mean, these are all extreme sports where sometimes you see the horse on the bottom right. I mean, that's especially in your neck of the woods, that type of riding. When it comes to physiology or biomechanics or anatomy of the horse, when you place a rider like the blue rider that far back, you're sitting in the lumbar area. You see the bottom right, the skeleton with the spinal processes. This is super painful. Veterinarians now speak up when people ride bad. Riding bad means when the horse is in an unnatural frame. Like the top left one is in an unnatural frame. Breaks at C3, head is pulled to the chest. The hindquarters are way out, and the same with the bottom right. We used to call it circus trot. And then you wonder when all of a sudden, out of the blue, the horse spooks and runs away. It runs through the pain cycle. And then we can go into the deformity, which is caused by certain certain girth and tack, to the fact that exactly 10 years ago, the University of Scotland has just put it black on white after research. Right? If you do this to the horse's back muscle, you can inject it and do all kinds of crazy stuff to it, but the horse will deform. And if you end up with deformed horses as an owner, or you get a horse in and you treat him well and the tack doesn't help, and the horse, because of what he's gone through, look at how uneven these horses are. The brown one is, the darker one is big on the left, and the lighter brown one is big on the right. Can you see that, Kelsey?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how many horses, I mean, your horse pictures, of course, look way different than this because through the horrible life these horses have gone. But the horses you see here on the top left, that's a common picture. And this is clearly saddle fitting damage.
And people see nothing wrong with that picture, which is the problem.
I know. The whole horse is deformed. And the bottom one where I showed the back, the loin, and the croup, if we look at different types of horses like this one here, not every horse looks the same. So when people say, oh, my saddle fits all horses, that's baloney. That's absolutely horrible, right? So the horse is the master in hiding pain and will deform to avoid this pain. And the deformity they will do before they say, oh, I'm really hurting. But thank God, because of the pain scale, we know what we need to look for. Okay, there's an issue. We need to do something. So it's so simple, and it's done for over thousands and thousands of years. The longest muscle, longissimus dorsi, which is where the arrow is where the rider should sit, in the middle of that biggest, longest muscle. And then all the other muscle on the bottom, you see the horse with all the different muscles groups, okay? The trapezius, the splenialis, rhomboideus, multifidus, all these muscles are so vulnerable. And if we build saddles for thousands of years to stay away from these reflex points, remember, Kelsey, these are the I don't know if you can see it on the mini slide there, but there is a horse on the bottom with blue dots. And these
Okay.
blue dots are these landmines I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah.
And if you look at the top right picture, that's the one where the saddle should rest on. And for, as I said, for thousands of years, the saddles have been built. And if the horse is free, the horses brings the stomach up, and all these bones on the top, spinal process is open. It doesn't touch. So if I'm riding a sliding stop or jump or counter pirouette, right, and the hind leg come underneath, that red line here, the dorsal ligament system, opens and opens the spine, carries the saddle in the rider, and the horse has a chance to not rub the bones together. Here we go. Bottom right, you see bones rubbed together. The top left, from saddle foot pinches. And these signs with the top left here again with the blister on the withers. Oh, you know what? It's not so bad. It goes away. Well, you know how much danger that is if you ride horses what get blisters after you ride. So anyway, I don't want to talk the whole time here, exploring pictures with you. I'm just wanting to share everything what I just shown you is now been everywhere, shared and taught. I have flown around the world many, many times. I've been to 5 different continents, to all the different equine universities, and I met beautiful and great professors because I said there gotta be a way that people speak the same language when it comes to saddle fitting. Now,
Right.
unfortunately, it doesn't, because there's 8 different philosophies how to fit a saddle. Imagine you get a horse in and it's completely starved. First thing you said, you can't just throw him a lot of food.
Yeah.
Right? You think you would do something good and give him a lot of food, he probably would die if you do this, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? And imagine somebody else listens to you and says, oh, Kelsey doesn't know what she's talking about. When my horse is starved, I give him as much food as he wants. Right? And imagine people sitting now between you and this other person says, well, I don't know who's right. Maybe the other person's right. She speaks louder. She has a better car. She's whatever, right? So when you get this conflict interest, it causes massive problems to the horses, because only through trial and error they say, oops, I guess Kelsey was right because my horse is dead now.
Yeah.
So with saddle fitting, it's the same thing. Horses don't die from it, but horses definitely deform from it.
And there's a cost. Yeah.
And it makes me nuts. And again, these beautiful animals who have given mankind so much hope and love and support and
they're so willing to try so hard over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how sweet all of our rescues are.
Yeah. I mean,
every time. And I'm like, you have been starved and neglected and left for dead. Like one of our foals had to be carried onto a trailer. She would not have made it another 48 hours. And they are the sweetest foals in the entire world. So happy to be around humans. Just want to hang out with you all day. Mamas are the same way.
Yeah. And that's why we want to help you by educating your staff. We want to see that you get equipment. There's so many different type of brands out where the professionals, I consider you guys the professionals, because you need to know about the teeth, the shoeing, nutrition, maintenance, horsemanship, everything, right? So we want to reach out and help you with one of our courses. Besides the money, I think money is always good, yes, but I'm a guy who likes to say, I rather teach you how to fish than keep buying you fish.
Yeah, exactly.
The next law case is around the corner, okay? And then you need more money. So what if we can help you so these beautiful animals can find a home faster? I mean, it's great to collect, but how many thousands of horses can you feed, right? There got to be this nice balance.
Right.
Make room for more rescue horses, but then these horses, what I know.
If we can adopt out the ones we have, then we can take more in.
Right? So that's how it goes, right? And so maybe we can just help a little bit and we teach you how to fish.
Yes, I would love that. That would be amazing.
Kelsey, I have a question for you. And let me tell a little story where I'm coming from at first. So we at Saddlefit for Life have people who take one of our courses or multiple courses, and one of the courses asks for externship, where you actually have to go now and ask for volunteers to check their saddles. And sometimes they see how horrible the saddle sits. For example, there's one spot in front of the saddle in the same height as the saddle would have a D-ring. It's called the lung meridian point. So when the saddle presses on the lung meridian point, that causes this horse massive stress that only leads to stumbling, biting, gut ulcer, stomach ulcer, up to colic. So when you know all these points, which is just clinical proven, it's not just what we came
Right.
up at Saddlefit for Life, right? And they're testing it. They are so devastated, and they call us, and our trainers try to motivate them and says, if you walk away, who's going to help these horses? You have all this education, but then sometimes people just emotionally can deal with this. And I can only think, oh my God, this is just saddle fitting. I'm looking at you, and you seem to be such a pleasant, happy, going out person. And in the stories you told me, the cases you just received with the multiple death of dogs and animals and horses at the farm, and yet you stay so positive. How do you do that? What is your recommendation to everybody who's listening who is so heart struck by that?
Yeah. Take it in, but also compartmentalize. I took it in. When I got the last call of our most recent rescue, I was told there was 60 plus horses, 50 plus cattle, and 11 dead dogs on the property, plus multiple live dogs on the property. I was days away from putting my heart and soul dog down from a tumor on her spine that was inoperable. And she had lost almost all use of her back limbs. She couldn't potty anymore. So there's just nothing I could do for her. And I just sat there in my car and I cried after this phone call. I was in the Kroger parking lot and I just cried and I screamed. And I screamed at the top of my lungs. I was so angry. And I just took in that feeling, though, because if I didn't let it out, then I was just going to fester. And I knew I had to feel what I was feeling. But at the same time, I had to get up the next morning at 5:30 and go and get these horses. And that is my job. And then I got all the horses and I got mules and we got a pony and we got a mini, and they went all to different rescues and they were all in good hands. And some went to University of Tennessee, Knoxville to get treated, and they were in good hands for treatment. And I did not think some of those horses were going to make it. And as far as I know, all of them made it. And that is why I do what I do, because same thing. The first case I was on this year, the last horse that we had was like a week-old foal, and she had to be carried to the trailer. She could not walk to the trailer. She had been down all day, couldn't move, probably wouldn't have made it another 48 hours. She got carried to our trailer, was the last one out, came to VEA. We have her now. She's gained weight. She ended up with aspiration pneumonia because she was already so sick, underweight, and immunocompromised. But again, she made it. She loves humans. She loves when you sit in the pasture with her. She'll just come and she loves to nibble on your head. She loves to nibble on your shirt. She just loves to hang out with you. She loves to be with you.
So your employees, you said they're all volunteer, but they must go
all
through
volunteers.
the same thing. So your recommendation is compartmentalize,
but also feel your feelings. do not just shut them off, because your feelings are valid about the situation. Mm-hmm. You are allowed to be mad. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to scream. But at the same time, look at what you just did. You just saved 26 horses off of 4 acres. You just saved 58 horses from a three-peat offender. You just saved a horse that was 250 pounds underweight. Yeah. And now he's flourishing.
Yeah. I mean, Kelsey, there's this old saying, oh, it doesn't make a difference. There's so many starving animals. Look at the rescue, and there's so many rescues. It makes no difference what I do. And that reminds me on a story what a gentleman told me, because I have students sometimes who says, I go there and I see so many stars overhead. But I said, that one customer who says, I don't want to hurt my horse and cripple my horse's back by not knowing. I want to know if the saddle fits right, but I wanted to know from a person who fits the saddle for the horse and not for sales purpose. So I want to know a person who fits the horse to the anatomy of the horse and to the anatomy of me, so both horse and riders are protected from long-term damage. Here's the story. There's 2 old men walking towards each other. One comes from the north, one comes from the south, and they walk towards it. So this one man looks down the horizon and says, what's this other man doing? You see him bend down, picks up something, looks at it, and throws it in the ocean. And then he says, when they come closer, he sees he's actually picking up the star, the sea stars, the starfish. Right? And soon now they're sitting in front of each other, standing in front of each other, and this one guy says, what you're doing makes no difference. This is stupid what you do. The other guy says nothing. He just bends down, picks another starfish, shows it to the other guy and says, see that one starfish? Or this starfish? It makes a difference. And he throws it in the water. So while there's hundreds and hundreds of starfish still on the beach. And that's what I think you do the same thing with your rescue horses. I do with my students, who I encourage, if you have the strength and you can let the emotions out, like Kelsey says, and feel your feelings, you have the power to save these beautiful horses who give their blood, guts, and soul to us, because they're, like you said, this horses now nibble your head, love you, love humans, So, yeah. And I think this is why humans and horses been for thousands and thousands of years together before even the dog came around.
Right.
So thanks very much for sharing your expertise and sharing your story. So,
of course, I love it. I love what I do. I love where I work. It's a great place to work for, and it's a great organization. They really know what they're doing. They prove that constantly, especially with the court cases they're doing right now. They're very organized. They have very great picture system of look at my before and afters, and I have a picture of this horse from every angle, including front, each side, back, and top, and before and afters. And it makes me feel good that today we went into a courtroom and met with an assistant district attorney and said, look, there's 4 women here, all experts in their field. This is what we have to offer you. And he said, perfect. I'll take all of it. So,
wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Kelsey, let's say people really, really love what you do and they appreciate what Saddlefit for Life does. How would they reach you? What can they do? What can they do as well for you?
Yeah. We are 100% volunteer and donation based. So donations are always going to be number one for us. But if you can't donate, be sure to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're Volunteer Equine Advocates across all social media handles. We are always welcome to volunteers if you're in the Nashville area, or if you want to help remotely with things like fundraising and things like that. You can still reach out and find us either through Facebook or our website. Either one is fine. website is veatnhorserescue.com, I believe.
Okay,
So,
we probably definitely can add that to the bottom of the screen or something like this. But if I would like to help by saying, hey, how do I go about adopting a horse? How does that work?
yeah, adoptions are great. So, if you're interested in adopting, then we only adopt out to Tennessee or surrounding states if you're close by. But definitely reach out. We have an adoption and foster form on our website. You can find us there. You can fill that out. I'll be the one to contact you. I do all of our adoption and foster applications. We have a lot of senior horses right now. We have a lot of companion horses right now. We have 2 active court cases right now, which means we have to take on all of those horses. None of those can be fostered out or adopted out until those court cases are finished. And so if I can find homes for all the rest of our horses, then that opens up room for other oncoming court cases, because I know there's going to be more. And once those court cases are finished, our current court cases, then those horses can be rehomed and find their forever homes too.
And Kelsey, you mentioned that the horses can be adopted or fostered out
Yes.
to the Nashville area or surrounding states.
Mm-hmm.
Why not further?
We like to just be able to keep tabs on them, and we're a very small, very local rescue. So it just hasn't really been possible for us to be able to adopt out further at this point.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. It was absolutely wonderful meeting you the first time and the second time. And all of us for Saddlefit for Life are absolutely thrilled that we can do something for you and your organization. And I know that many of my students, many of our viewers will take this opportunity to also help, if it's buying a fish or teaching you to fish or being volunteers or maybe even foster or adopt a horse. Who knows, right? But as you said, donations is always number one, because you guys need to feed these horses. You need volunteers who, yes, they don't look for big paychecks, but there is cost what's involved, and somewhere the money needs to come. So definitely we will do whatever is in our power. And because it's a goodwill case, I'm sure we will make this a massive success for you.
I appreciate you guys so much. We're very excited. We've got 2 fulls on the way. One is due any day now. So donations, again, always great. But it'll be fun to follow us on social media too, and just get engagement there, because you're about to see a lot of foals, a lot of babies. So.
Well, thank you so much. And we can't wait to see how this all ends up. And
Me too.
We will be in touch to teach you how to fish.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Bye, Kelsey.
Bye.
What an incredibly insightful conversation. Thank you both so much for your time today. Kelsey, thank you for everything that you do for these animals and your tireless efforts. And we're going to link all of the information in the description of this video. So if you want to take a look at their website, you'd like to donate privately, or you'd like to even volunteer and help Kelsey's team, you can find all of that information below. And don't forget, until July 16th, we are raising funds to support Volunteer Equine Advocates. So every purchase, for every course purchased, we will donate $300 to Volunteer Equine Advocates. So if you've been toying with the idea of enrolling in the Certified Equine Autonomous course, this is a perfect time. So make sure to check out that offer, and we look forward to seeing you next time.